Hi, everybody. Okay, this is the secret is that red berets are just getting harder and harder for me to put on my head. So sometimes I just don't feel like doing that. So I don't think every single live stream I'm going to have a red beret on, but um, you all know me. You all know me and all the other lovely crafters, and I've got to figure this thing out to where I can get some guests coming on the show. But I just don't know. I'm going to have to hit decline on that. But I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get that piece accomplished or conquer that before the weekend of the documentary initial filming. So that's coming up the 26th, 27th, and 28th. I feel like I have all kinds of amazing possibilities and announcements, but that I can't really make those possibility and announcements. Seriously, sometimes I get to trying to announce things before it's really cool to do so. So let me just kind of slow myself down for a second, see what it is that I can share. I can always share that I have berets on the needles. Um, This one is Pound of Love. Yes, don't ask. I had to unravel a bunch of it. I really like knitting with Pound of Love. So it's I don't typically like to knit with acrylic, but if you are going, hi, David. You just missed me saying it's really difficult not to make announcements, but I'm not making announcements. I'm just letting people know that there are exciting things coming soon on in lots of different ways. Uh, this is the thing when you are focused around the agenda and you don't wait for the establishment or even the progressive establishment to tell you what the agenda is going to be. And I understand, like, we're not getting Medicare for all with without it being like without there being hearings or without it being a thing for the in the Senate. You know, I kind of am trying to catch up on things. It's tough to choose what to catch up with, and a lot of times I choose if I have a little bit of listening time. I just popped in on. Oh, here's something exciting I can say. I can always thank Justin Jackson. He retweeted. Let me go ahead and read this tweet because you know what I also like is once he retweets something, he doesn't like unlike me. He doesn't drown out his retweets with a constant barrage of like tweets. He lets it sit there on his timeline for a little bit. And I really appreciated this. Let's see. Let's look at this because it's still sitting. He's made 2 tweets since then. Brianna Joy Gray was on, and so I actually got home from work and wasn't able to really catch any of that live. I barely logged on live in time to make a comment just from the Red Berets YouTube account, basically thanking him for everything that he's doing, which is a lot, by the way. He is I won't say single-handedly. He's helping all of us that have been working so hard to get just this like solidarity fight on all fronts. And so I know some of you that have seen my videos, you're like, oh, okay, you're going to thank him. I am going to thank him every single day, just like I relentlessly tweet to those people that that I wish would stop ignoring me. I also am relentless in my gratitude because people have to understand that, you know, I created the Red Berets account to try to amplify and elevate whole Washington. Yeah, I thought it would be cool to also share, you know, the crafting of the Red Berets, but primarily, I just was I was wanting to help amplify whole Washington. And so literally, it's been over just about 3 years on Twitter. I started crafting these in the fall of 2017. And then I think I made my Twitter account in like January or February 2018. I don't know. Um, but I've been relentlessly tweeting. That was a very, very good, accurate word that he used. You know, in the Power to Heal when he said, you know, never be afraid to be relentless. That is exactly, and if you can see how many tweets that I've done, it's been a lot. It's been a lot to try to get, and I'm starting to call them the progressive establishment. Bernie, Rep. Jayapal, Our Revolution, DSA, just the whole toolkit that was supposed to further the agenda along, take over the Democratic Party, help us get our organizing all in and everything like that. And listen, this is not. Why do I always have to preface something as it's not meant to be a disparagement? I just told a story to Lisa Serafini about uh, exactly. I know that whole Washington isn't getting local press. I can't. I'm not going to go so far as to accuse or say, that Representative Jayapal is making sure we're not getting progressive press. However, I will say that it's time for me to start sharing the stories, like in 2018, how she dropped a bill. I don't remember what it was, and so rightfully so, she was like focused on what she was doing. And they had this press conference 1 or 2 streets up from Pike Place Market in a little alleyway. Well, we got wind of it, so we mobilized the whole This was right in the middle of, or probably towards the beginning of the ballot initiative process, I-1600. So we mobilized, and there were roughly 75 or maybe 100 people there. It was a small group, relatively. And she had people lined up or people that were going to speak for it, and she was going to speak. So the press were there. And the whole Washington group in red t-shirts and many in red berets, and just us with our I-1600 petition boards. We show up. We were about 30% or 35%, maybe even more, maybe 30 to 40% of that total group were whole Washington volunteers. I was because I was like, I have my big red beret on, and I have my button, and I have my t-shirt, and I have my petition board, and you damn well bet I was trying to get that petition board seen. That had on the back had like, please sign the petition I-1600 to get universal health care to the ballot. So of course I am trying to get that in there. And one of the staffers came along and said, "Oh, can you put your board? We don't want any of those in the camera angles." And I was like, I laughed and I said, "Of course you don't." But we did the polite thing. Everybody, we kind of all circled around the group. I'm fairly tall. I'm 5'8". I was on tiptoe. There's no way that 30% of us could go and circle the whole group. It was a small, rather intimate gathering. You can imagine that red berets and red t-shirts, being that we were at least 30% of the total people that were there, that would be kind of difficult to not get on camera or get included. I watched the filming, I watched it later on television. There wasn't a red beret or a whole Washington volunteer in the side of the camera, and they changed angles several times. They're very good. And it goes the same with when Bernie came to Tacoma Dome. Again, there's 16 or 17,000 people that came to Tacoma Dome. And we saw a few red berets, but they didn't let a red beret on the platform. Somebody asked, in fact, it was Michelle Devier. Now, the little person, I call him little, yeah, because this is the kind of games. Give anybody a little piece of power, and then you ask for something, and just because they can exercise it, it's like, no. So I'm so pissing done. I'm so pissing done with the whole progressive establishment thing. I really am. And I mean no disrespect to Bernie or to Representative Jayapal, but I'm done keeping these little stories of how the real grassroots, the solid fucking organizers who have done a metric shit ton of work, are shuffled along behind the scenes and purposefully not seen. I don't know what to make of that, and I'm just really tired of it. I've played diplomatic for a really long time. And it's now such that the documentary filmmaker is coming in to get the real story of the grassroots activists who build this fucking movement. Without the people, there isn't a representative Jayapal. There isn't a Medicare for all legislation. There aren't additional co-sponsors that will be brought aboard. There's none of that shit without the 99%. So I'm at this point, I am very hell to the much finished with being cut out of this picture. It's not by accident. I agree. I think it's going to be amazing. And you know what? A lot of times what I bring to these little live streams is kind of like the sweet kind of knitting. I'm knitting and I'm just doing red berets and la 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 and everything's okay. And we're a big, happy, progressive community. And I try to walk that line of being like, a wrecking ball and a bridge builder, because I think we need both. So people go and they think that, Jimmy Dore is too hard or this person's too hard, too loud, too angry. I'm of the opinion that we need disruptors. It's uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable. Too angry. Oh, you're an angry woman. You're a whatever. I'm somewhere in between because I have a healer in me. I'm a holistic healthcare practitioner. So, and I think that we have to have those. The thing is, in order to make a complete movement, we need all of the voices. No, we don't need a bunch of racist, bigots and whatever. But we need to heal this country, and we need to recognize that the voices of anger. Anyway, we just need all of the things. We're all in this mosh pit, and everybody's got something valuable. The people that make, beautiful berets, so that healthcare justice can look not as intimidating. Although somebody said that the red berets are so militant or this and that. I don't know how you get 90-year-old nurses literally crafting for Medicare for all, and people that are retired crafting for Medicare for all. It may be because my voice has been out there a lot. I'm not the only one, but I've been, certainly a primary voice. And I am a bit militant. Sometimes I'm very anti-establishment, but I also have tried to spread the love and pour all I wanted from the progressive establishment was to get somebody to take up this idea, because you don't get that many crafters knitting and crocheting those. If you do people understand what would happen if we mobilize? I just went down. Sorry to keep interrupting myself. I just went down to Fibers, Etc., which is my local yarn store, yesterday and told them about this documentary. They know me very well because I have bought a crap ton of red yarn. I've also bought it cheap and cheerful down at Joann's. But over the 3 years, I've donated the yarn. I've knit the stuff. I've asked everybody to do it. If the crafters that have joined us, they're running on a really limited income, we try to give enough back to cover a little bit of their cost. Other than that, we've been trying to get these on the heads of activists. We've tried to get them on the heads of movement leaders like Senator Nina Turner and Dr. Dooley. And that wasn't to be famous. That's not like, oh, I just need to have so much credit. And no, I actually want people to start crafting these. Because what happened when I went down to Fibers, Etc., was Roberta said, oh, I said, well, I had thought about asking you. I said, because we have the venue that we're gonna be filming in. First of all, we're gonna be on Pacific Avenue with that direct action. But then, as far as the interviews, we're going to be at Marconi Chiropractic because they're giving us, that saves him cost. It's a place that I'm comfortable. We've got a couple of different rooms so that if he wants to kind of change things up and have a change of scenery and just have it look a little bit different for different interviews. And then we don't have to pay, and they don't expect to be highlighted or even shown that it's there, but they want to help. They want their building to be used for something good like this. So they're just donating the space, which is wonderful. So I told Roberta at the craft store, I said, I said, I want to make sure that we get this really holistic picture. I want the red berets, the action, the boots on the ground is whole Washington. Those are the people, that's the policy. Those are the activists. Those are the people that we've been knitting and crocheting for locally. There is no red berets without whole Washington. Otherwise, I would have just been a crafter that was knitting for, and that would have been good enough. I mean, in its own way, just kind of getting that visual solidarity and, knitting for Nina Turner. What an enormous honor that was. Just to kind of, just the mere fact of bringing some visual and creative and artistic stuff. Oh gosh, that reminds me of so much. Like, I wrote a tweet that I was kind of burned out last night, and David, you responded, and a lot of people, sometimes I do that. I go on I am a little bit burned out, but I'm mostly just because I'm very excited about this documentary, and I'm working a lot too, so it's a lot to manage right now, but I'm so excited about this documentary. Anyway, I had said to Roberta, I had thought about approaching you and asking if we could film a kind of socially, a safe, socially distanced crafting circle, maybe in Fibers, etc., because visually she has a very beautiful, it's just a rich, amazing, beautiful fibers and everything in there. And so it would be cool to get the crafters in their own element surrounded by fiber. She said, yeah, that sounds, this is so exciting, Laura. Wow, you've been working on this, and this is great. She said, just the element, finally getting to the point I wanted to make, that she said, I think, she said, because we've had so many people who rely on the social element of coming in for these kind of knitting and crochet, these clinics, these little weekly things that they have offered for years, but they haven't, because everything's been closed due to COVID. They've just had a situation where you could go and ring the bell and they'll let a couple people in to make some yarn purchases and whatever. So she said, I just think that element alone of like who you can reach, who the crafters and the people that are kind of really home and isolated, who you can reach and help them feel a part of something, that's very healing in and of itself. And that really, I think I had sort of considered that, but not, I don't always only consider the crafters and the kind of healing element just in the craft alone. It gets kind of, because I've made them very much a piece of political activism, and that's by design. I want them to be, they're not just hats for nothing. They are actually, we can use them to fundraise. We can do them to let the establishment know that we are coming, we can let them know, People's Party, that the Democrats, that we're over it. Like, we're not getting told that this is not our platform. This is our platform. And it's not on your platform, so it's on the People's Party's platform. And Red Berets I'll always hope that they continue to be knit and crocheted and associated with people who are organizing around this platform. So again, if that's through the Green Party, and you're active, like Georgia was saying, the Washington State Green Party has been shown enormous amounts of solidarity for whole Washington over the years. I know some great Democrats, some great local Democrat state committee members. Jason Call for Congress, right? So these are not they're for everybody that is organizing around a platform. It's supposed to be a connective fabric. However, if there is a party that wants to be excited about this, that's news to me. That's like, we'll get to that. That's all I could say. That's all I could say about that. If a party wants to reach out and say, this is fantastic, why do you think that this has not been taken up? Like, do you really realize how many people could be connected and mobilized? Just the mere fact that these that the red thread and the idea of the berets and whole Washington is what brought Kenny listening to Amped Up Pod. He was listening to Amped Up Pod, and he himself is from a family of crafters. His wife crochets, his kids are handcrafters because they've done Waldorf education. And there is something very, very connective and healing. I don't mean to say, oh, the berets are healing. They kind of are, though. Like, it's kind of amazing how many pieces are coming together. And I can't, I've kind of been, people let me know that I sometimes step my, hey, careful. We don't want to announce stuff too soon, or we don't want to, but there's things that are going on with the documentary that are already very, very exciting. And this is just the first phase, and I don't want to overwhelm Kenny with my vision of, my whole vision of what I think is possible with it. But I swear, some of the energy that you saw me spewing a few minutes ago about Rep Jayapal and just generally, I'll continue to be so thankful of Nina Turner and Dr. Dooley. But that, as far as they were the channel for the Red Berets. They've been the ones to be in touch with the grassroots and to help lift us up. And I truly don't understand, where do elected progressives, where does the squad and elected progressives, where do they think people are going to get their art fuels the movement, and giving some credit and some thanks along the way to what people are doing. And even if you're not going to focus on state level legislation because you're a federal legislator and you're a politician, and I get it, even in the best of worlds, you're a politician. That's kind of like the blinders have kind of been pulled, the curtain's been pulled back. Like, I started all this as a real idealist, and there's a lot to manage when you're a federal legislator, and I get that. But people, the organizers that are left, that are still willing to sit and do this stuff, and keep going through the times of, all throughout the whole Trump administration, when there was no chance for Medicare for all, and now that we've been told to vote blue no matter who. I didn't, by the way, proudly did not vote for Biden. I don't vote for people who don't represent me and who actively tell me that not only they don't support my platform, they're going to actively work against and veto my platform. No, I don't vote for them. I don't vote for them. Trump, nothing they're going to do to fearmonger me to ever vote for somebody who represents corporations over what I'm doing, thousands and thousands of hours and dollars in yarn. And I'm happy to do it. I'm not like misresentful, but I'm not happy to pour my good efforts and my money and time and tons of other stuff. Yes, I did too. I voted for Howie as well. And so yeah, where am I even going with that? Yeah, it's just been, I've gone through this evolution where I was willing to just kind of be like, go along for the ride, and be sort of the cheerleader, knit the berets, and yay, we need Medicare for all. But the thing is, I've been really in the know this whole time. The reason that Red Berets couldn't have just even a little bit more solidarity, in my own opinion. This is all my own sort of meanderings and thought processes, but we've been very strongly associated with whole Washington. Everybody knows that. I'm not somebody who's going to stop doing good efforts because I think that I could be more recognized in the Bernie movement or whatever it would be. If I would just disengage and disentangle the yarn away from whole Washington. Whole Washington is the chance that we have now. We have veto Biden as a president. So I do look forward to the exciting announcements that we're going to make, because we need more whole Washingtons out there. And there are other states, and some of the best, like one organization is Healthcare for All Los Angeles. The whole thing's really funny because Healthcare for All Washington has historically, I think they have some new leadership, but historically there was really, they were not supportive of whole Washington at all. We've had to put up with all this kind of pettiness and undermining in the single payer movement. And whole Washington, I'm out speaking about this stuff now because we have to work together. Exactly. Change comes when we work together. and not when we get so invested. Do you think for a second that if New York Health Act were to pass tomorrow, that Georgia Davenport, founder of Whole Washington, would say, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I just always thought it was going to be Washington State. We needed to be the Saskatchewan." I'm sorry, but that's only funny. Like if you know Georgia, like she would be so ecstatic. She just wants to get this done. And then what she would see that as, oh my God, this we're totally doing this now. They just opened the floodgates. Now that's going to increase our chances. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go even harder, right? So this idea, so we need to get more people that are like Georgia Davenport and that are like me and that are like Justin Jackson. And there's many other people that I can name. I mean, Fran Bauer, I've shouted her out a whole bunch of times. She's amazing. She taught herself how to crochet. She sends red berets to Whole Washington. So if you can order any red berets, and speaking of which, I think she was telling me that she's not on the merch page, and it might be because Georgia sold out of her. She has all the different crafters up there, and when she sells out of somebody's work, maybe she takes the thumbnail of them down off of there. Anyway, Fran Bauer was somebody really early on who she's made so many memes, so many graphic art things for Nina, for Bernie, for Poor People's Campaign. She's made some really cool ones of Ron Placone. She just made that recent one of Fiorella in the red beret and a Whole Washington button. She's a connector. She and I have been working together on Twitter, and we have phone calls a lot. She's one of the core members of the Red Brigade, of the grassroots, always will be grassroots Red Beret Brigade, because she has this understanding that it's not one or the other. Always, all through the 2020, all through Bernie's primary run, before we even knew he was running. But as soon as we got connected up on Twitter and all throughout his campaign, we were always trying to link Red Berets for Medicare for All with Nina, with Bernie, with Whole Washington, with Scott Denoyer, like lift everybody up and I think people are afraid that the grassroots gets kind of like muddied or out of control. I don't know what the deal is. But the thing about it is we don't have anybody to get this done right now. We have a veto president. We have a progressive caucus that is not dealing with this as we've been told over and over, that we're in a national emergency, that our planet is like we're in an existential threat. I like how we had to hear that Trump was an existential threat, and then Biden's doing, and all of us knew it would be exactly the same. And in my own opinion, it is worse in a certain way, because Trump, at least the media was like fire, like he had nowhere to hide, really. The media will hide everything just like they did Obama. So now the children in the cages and all the shit, none of that stuff's going to be reported on by the mainstream media now. So which administration are people safer under? And it's just terrible, everything that they're doing. And I knew that it wasn't going to be any better. And then the thing is that they get all this cover from the media. And like it or not, like I've been waiting, and I don't, again, it's this naive thing. It never seems to, I never cease to amaze myself with the fact of how idealistic I can be. Very jaded and skeptical, but also idealistic. And I kept thinking to myself throughout the whole transition thing, oh, maybe they're just, maybe as soon as he gets into office, like as soon as it goes now, then they're going to turn and face our adversary, our other adversary. Trump's out. Now it's time to take them on and just like go all out. Act like it's the existential threat that you told everybody it was for this long. Because it is. So I guess this is my live stream where I like out some of my feelings. I'm always going to have a great deal of like respect and gratitude. And, when Bernie was saying, I can't do it alone, I'm glad that he at least imbued and kind of got that message out. But when he came to the Tacoma Dome and spoke to 17,000 people, you don't just need to tell 17,000 people that you cannot do it alone. You have to tell those 17,000 people, ask them, pretend silly, pretend stupid for a second and say, so one of our main platform planks, as you know, and if I'm elected, I'm going to be the organizer in chief, is for Medicare for all. We're here in Tacoma in Congressional District 6. It has Representative Kilmer co-sponsored Pramila Jayapal's bill. Boo! No, he didn't say any of this, and he didn't ask if Maria Cantwell we are in a state filled with complete corporate Democrats. Jayapal is the best that we have. But if she's the best that we have and she's introducing this legislation, then where is a tweet saying, and maybe this is going to be forthcoming when, but again, there's my optimism, right? It's like, maybe when the legislation drops, it'll be that one of these people in the squad is going to turn around and say, at Kilmer, you should be adding every single person here that are your colleagues in Washington state saying, in Washington state alone, we have over 500,000 people who are uninsured, and more than double that are underinsured. So I need all of my colleagues in the House to co-sponsor this legislation and at every single one of them. And then mobilize your grassroots to say, I need you calling all these people every single day. You all need to be calling all these people. And it would be great if we saw that kind of, that's going to the mat. That's what we're talking about. When Shama Sawant was on with Proud Socialist, with Brian Knight on Twitter, and her talking about why aren't, and this is not a direct quote, of course, I don't memorize everything people say. Why can't we get progressives to go to the mat for us? If they won't go to the mat for us, the way that Joe Manchin will go to the mat for the insurance lobby and for the corporate donors, for the ruling class, we're not going to do this. And that's absolutely right. If we can't even get a tweet saying it is absolutely unacceptable that we don't have every single one of, and starting with the leader of the House, Nancy Pelosi, you need to be a co-sponsor. These many people are dying and we have the majority. It is your responsibility to not only co-sponsor this legislation, but to whip votes. Well, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, of course his heart is in the right place. Of course his heart is in the right place. And I think based on the overwhelming mountain of evidence of my tweets and, oh my God, I've written poetry and helped put together that Red Beret song that's thanking Bernie and thanking Nina Turner. That was hours and layers of creativity and activism. I was inspired to activism by Bernie, and I know his heart is in the right place. But yeah, I don't know at this, and I'm going to, I'll probably never stop asking him because I just know they're not going to focus on state level legislation. That's not what they're going to do. But I'm at the point where I'm going to start calling out some of the inconsistencies. I mean, you can't say, that we're in a pandemic, this is an emergency, and then still hold out and not give some support to the grassroots when there's actually no pathway. The only pathway, so I mean, essentially that is saying, like, it's okay that we go, several years, at least until hopefully Nina Turner is able to run somewhere. Hopefully. But still, you know what I'm saying? We can't sit around and do nothing in that time. So, I'm not trying to make it an angry Bernie rant. I still have his letter that he wrote to me, and, he built, a movement of people. I'm just saying that there's people that, I think back to the point of the people that are still willing to be in the trenches and fighting on this stuff, even though we know we're fighting for this stuff every day, and yet we have a president that's veto. Like, if especially those of us that have some means, oh my god, why would we be bothering with all of this? Like, well, because we care and we have to. Once you're awake, you can't just turn around and be like, oh, I guess never mind. But the strategy hasn't worked, and I don't mean just running within the Democratic Party, but we're still not seeing any evidence from them that they're willing to acknowledge that that isn't working. We're seeing a celebration of Nevada. And look, I'm somebody who's going to continue to go along with this inside outside approach. Like, I know good activists who are organizing within the Democratic Party. And I personally have been to too many Democrat meetings. I'm not going to do it that way. It's like pulling teeth. It was like night and day, the difference pulling teeth without dental insurance. To go and speak at good of the order, all these meetings makes my stomach hurt. Watching them endorse and protect warmongers and people who wouldn't co-sponsor over perfectly good progressive challengers who were willing to put a D in front of their name and do it, but they get voted down, and it's just so gross. I just can't be associated with it. But of course, Lori Jackson, who is one of the core crafters, I would not have met her but for my time in the Pierce County Democrats. And she learned about the Red Berets, and she will be in this documentary, and she will be interviewed. She's just crocheting now. I don't know that she's really still attending any Democrat meetings, but she's she's probably crafted at least about as many of these as I have by now. And I mailed some of her work off to Nick Brana, and some of it was my work and a good portion of it was hers. So these are the people that are just behind the scenes doing stuff, and whatever is the vehicle, she was there attending meetings, trying to make a difference in the Democratic Party. And she really latched onto Red Berets, I think, because she could see, because people like to do something that gives them some hope and some joy. And so that's why Red Berets is a good idea, because you cannot fight this fight for this long and have no resources and have no joy and have no inspiration. And when if the only piece of the Medicare for All movement is about activists and going and primarying corporate corrupted Democrats, and building a new party is pretty exciting, right? I'm giving all these shout outs because you're still watching, David. But and because to the point I was making, it was sure a breath of fresh air to attend the local Washington People's Party meeting a week or so back. There was quite a few people in that meeting, and how I got treated there as just to come in and give them updates about that's right, damn straight. That how I got treated was with smiles and like, oh my gosh, it's Laura, oh yeah, here, and then let us know what's going on with whole Washington. And that they were just really excited to have that be, how could they help? And you can go and look on the Washington People's Party's Facebook. I'm not very good on Facebook, but George just shared it with me and said, cool, did you see the Washington People's Party has retweeted our legislative days of action and kind of said, please do these actions, not just kind of like a share, but here's the actions below. Please go and take the time to do this. And we don't get any of that shit from the Democratic Party. And so and then people are like, oh, you can't make a difference in a third party. And it's not even, and do you even understand about ballot access? And it's like, what I understand is that a party that's not even built yet, that doesn't even have, that is being built currently, that does not have ballot access in Washington state yet, is already doing more for whole Washington than the party that has it on their progressive platform but does absolutely nothing. And I have to take my ass to the good of the order to beg for people to take some petitions or to call their reps. And it's just uncomfortable. And I get offered food trays because people think that I am poor. I'm not offended by being poor. It's the fact that this is how they treat you when you go there and try to make a difference. They're centrists, they're Republicans, they're just, I don't know what they are. And again, that's not all of them, because I met Lori Jackson there, and now she is crocheting red berets. She'll be in the documentary, and she just wants to make a difference and help get Medicare for all. And so she took up an idea that was relaxing and joyous, and that she could think about people putting these hats that she has invested her time and her intention and her love in. That's a lot more productive than sitting there watching people vote for incumbents that vote for endless war and won't co-sponsor a Green New Deal and won't co-sponsor Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, I'm personally super done with the Democrats. For my own organizing, but I would certainly, if somebody said, hey, there's this, the 29, the 29th LD, I know some really good organizers, and that's because the 29th LD doesn't have money. It's a poor area. So all the people that are state committee members and are core organizers in the 29th, it's because they want to get shit done. They want to change the community. So they're actually like a progressive. Funny how how that's the case, right? But so yeah, I don't ever close the door to people. I close the door to a corporately owned party that is refusing to represent an act. I don't want to see just, it's not even enough to have it. Man, people talk about how it's not even on the platform. It's not even on the platform. But we actually need people to fight for it. So we're so far, the space in between what the Democratic Party is willing to do for Medicare for all or for healthcare justice is like, I'm appalled that anyone is even still willing to. The good progressives are using it as a vehicle and to try to, get to take, things that they want passed, to go to these meetings and take resolutions. And, if it's being used as a tool and a vehicle, but, I don't really know any progressive Democrats who, none of them are really under any disillusion that you can reform the Democratic Party. They're all they're using it as a tool or a vehicle or a conduit for something, and they're organizing around the platform. So that's, so I don't close my door to people. Like, we can all build around this platform, and that's what we have to do, but I don't want to sit in Democrat meetings anymore. But yeah, I'm going to get going now. And that was kind of a long rant, and it was kind of angry at a couple of moments there. I think, people will just have to understand, and I am definitely explaining myself. Like, I mean no disrespect to Bernie Sanders and even to some of our progressives. But you have to, back to Justin Jackson, you have to be willing to assess when something different is needed, when a change in strategy is needed. So yeah, and I'm constantly harping about the fact that we need to stop undermining strategies and just organize for what we think is the best. So, like I say, I'm not out messaging or tweeting at my friends that I know are state committee members. If I know they have a state committee or a Democrat meeting and they message that to me, I don't say pragmatic thinking. Yeah, I don't sit there and, because I trust and know my friends that are going to bother with that. The reason they're going is to go get something done on the agenda, and to be influencers. I'm not going to bother saying, waste, trying to drain off good energy by, it already takes, we all already know it takes way too much energy to go to a Democrat meeting. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, why are you doing that? That's such a waste of time. We're already all through this. Everybody that still goes to do anything is, we're in a transitional process, and and I guess I kind of wish I kind of wish that we didn't need to do it this way. I wish we had a leader that was able right now in this moment to just like, but you know what? I think at the end of the day, when we end up looking back on this, we will truly look at it and say, wow, people rose up. We all rose up. We all brought our different skill sets and our talents, and we built a third major party, or we built coalitions, not to just only make this the Red Berets for the People's Party, but if you're going to be organizing with Greens or with DSA or whatever it is, in this time where we feel kind of like so leaderless, this is the time where hopefully we'll be back and we're going to be stronger grassroots organizers, because we literally couldn't just like lean on Bernie or lean on Nina or lean on somebody to lead. We recognize the urgency. We recognize that we can't just wait for another election cycle. We have to stay at work, right? Stay hard at work. And things will coalesce and end up coming back together for another massive upsurge. We're going to rise up again, but we don't just sit on our asses and wait for that time and wait for the golden opportunity. Because if we do, here's why to state efforts. Here's my dream scenario, so I'll just throw it out there. We continue, and the People's Party continue to get ballot access. Senator Nina Turner wins that seat. She, at the right time, decides she either stays as a Democrat and then just coalition builds and endorses, hopefully, some People's Party candidates so that people can start to see that we're not fucking around. The model is, I might be a Democrat, but I'm willing to say we need to elect progressives from any party that they stand in. So actually, I'm going to endorse that candidate that's in the People's Party. That would be a powerful move if she wasn't just going to defect right away. My dream would be like she wins Ohio 11. She defects immediately, puts her fingers up to the Democratic Party, joins the People's Party, and then like we have our massive like thing that just happens. I forget what's it called. I don't know what it's called, David. The platform, the thing where we vote and establish ourselves as a party and vote on the platform and do all of that stuff in June. So yeah, but anyway, the point is it'll happen. If she didn't do that, whatever, then it might be that we come along and she keeps organizing as a Democrat, and look, I can barely say it. Yeah. She keeps working as a Democrat. I'm so sorry. I'm just like so yeah. And then, but look, so here's the thing though. If it was like in my dream scenario, that she's going to carry the banner for the People's Party for 2024, and we're going to challenge Kamala Harris. Yeah, look how I know it's going to be Kamala Harris already. We can't sit around and wait for that energy. Medicare for All is only going to be stronger by one-payer states' strategies like whole Washington, and making sure we get some other states like working on it simultaneously, because the more different states are working on it, the more that the insurance lobby has to separate and divide and try to get a handle on this. And also the insurance lobby, back to Wendell Potter and him being a former Cigna insurance PR executive, like he talks in his books about how that he was paid very, very well to propagandize the masses they had different talking points for the left and the right. If anybody thinks that the insurance lobby isn't actively at work continuing their PR campaign to make sure that they keep laying that shit on thick, so that so there's lots of disinformation, and they're not stopping. They are continually dumping that propaganda on the masses. So we have to be doing the opposite, which is to continue to grassroots grow our community state by state, community by community, crafting circle by crafting circle, football, whatever thing connects people up to get them moving into action and supporting this, because not everybody's going to be the policy wonks. Some people want to craft for a good cause, but maybe they're just like, healthcare is a human right. Get those people. Get the people that say healthcare is a human right, but maybe they don't know that the difference between, maybe they think a public option, they just don't know. They know healthcare is a human right. So bring those people in. Why in the hell would we let someone who believes that healthcare is a human right be outside on the fringes, being like kind of lukewarm for a public option for a whatever? Bring them in with their crafting, get them like excited about it, get them seeing like this excitement. It's a way of joyfully bringing people in and letting them have a place within the movement, because not everybody wants to be out in town halls or doing direct action and sitting outside and protesting outside of Representative Kilmer's office. You know what I mean? We got to find ways for everybody who isn't able to get out of their home, or who has a work environment where where they put their job at risk if they're too much on the front lines of political activism. We have to find a way to help them feel that they can be involved without risking their livelihood and stuff. So this is all of the organizing that happens and community building that happens in state-based efforts. And we cannot sit and wait around for the next dream ticket, which I've just named out. But what will happen if we wait on that and we haven't done any foundational ground building? Then the establishment will crush us again, quite frankly. We didn't probably have the right strategy in 2016 and 20, and we also did not have the grassroots people power. We have to grow that. We have to continue to grow that. The activists who are doing the work are spread too thin. We have to bring people in, even if it's only to ask them for a little thing. Like, I've started to share a little bit more with the Waldorf community because I got some feedback and they're like, we support this, Laura. Oh, I thought I was going to be pushing my activism. Oh, actually, no, you want to come be part of the crafting circle and maybe be in the documentary. And this woman who is a mother, she's like, I'm a social worker. I'm totally for this. We have to be a little bit more permeable in ways that are safe for our work and for whatever, but we have to always consider, like, am I compartmentalizing is there somebody that I could just bring in just a little bit? And it's a healing process, at least it is for me. And I'm wondering if it could be that way for other people to just consider that. Anyway, lots of exciting stuff happening. More exciting news on the horizon in different areas, but I have to get better about not getting too ahead of the process and whatnot. But I am excited, and this is the thing, that organizing around an issue, especially connected up in a creative way to something. There's so many people that are hopeless right now. If all you're doing, that's the reason that I didn't lose hope during Trump. I wasn't looking at Trump the whole time. I was busy with whole Washington and with Red Berets. Yes, I got disgusted and annoyed at stuff that I saw and like, oh my God, geez, it seems to get worse all the time. And of course, tune into stuff that is important. We cannot afford to unplug from important things. I'm not saying that. It's just that we can't afford to be just solely hyper-focused. And another point that I wanted to bring back in is that, unfortunately, the other thing about, I don't really want to litigate whether it would have been better for Trump to stay in, or like, that was just a nightmare. We were all sick of that. However, one of the problems, in addition to the media cover that is now provided for the corporate administration, is that, like it or not, Democrats just won't fight as hard. Like, they can fight again. We're still too much in this mindset of, the Republicans are the enemy and the D's are the good people, even the good progressives. It's just very hard to break out. When you're in that two-party system, they're kind of your friends. They're your colleagues. You're afraid of like really going in with the kind of cannonball that you need to go in order to actually be able to achieve something. People, those representatives, everybody that's in there that's progressive should be asking people to sit outside on the steps and protest. Like there's just, I don't mean it as like to tear everybody down. Like I know that there's a lot, but we don't have time to wait on reinforcements. We can't wait for 2 years or a year for an election cycle. We need the strategy to change. And I understand that people are uncomfortable when we have some of our hard edge progressive media going unrelentingly. I'm really sorry to break it to you, but we have to have that. It's vital. Like there's people dying, and just your feelings or your feelings for your favorite politician don't outweigh the fact that 30 to 68,000 people are going to fucking die this year. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, or you think that AOC is getting attacked too hard, or any of the rest of them. This could change in a heartbeat if we see the strategy change, if we see all of them really willing to reach out, grab a hold of the grassroots and say, let's go. People will know it when they're back with the grassroots again. That is not a tough call to make. They'd have a lot, despite only having a few seats, if they wanted to mobilize and make use of the grassroots, we will know it when they're back with us. And so, I think I probably am just joining the unpopular or popular, whatever, it doesn't matter about being popular, the truthful crowd of this shit's not working. You can do a lot with a small handful of people. A few red berets, a few crafters, knitting and crocheting for a good, solid organization like Whole Washington. It's not to be putting a bunch of kudos on ourselves. We're freaking changing the strategy and the narrative with the help of some amazing people. But yes, it did happen with a few people. The consistent effort of we know we have to do this. We cannot rely on federal legislation. It doesn't mean we don't support it. It just means we know we can't sit around and fucking wait for it. Especially not with a veto president, right? So this whole thing of there's only a few of them, they need to get more of them. That's bullshit. They have plenty because they have all of us. They might only be a few of them, but if they want to mobilize, bygones would be bygones. If we see the fight and the willingness to engage and pull in the grassroots and empower us, all the bygones would be, I mean, for my part anyway, when I see somebody turn around and push up their sleeves and say, right, we're past the 100 days now. We gave you effers a chance. It's now time. And we were going to play serious now. The grassroots will rise up and be like, cool, we're fighting now. That's awesome. Here we are. So, and until that time happens, we have to continue to, I think it's both true that it is fair to put this amount of pressure on our progressives. And it's also, we need to look a little bit less to those elected progressives and worry a little bit less about what they're doing and actually take responsibility for the world that we live in and do our daily actions and build up our own damn community, right? Okay. Well, thanks for joining. I'm going to take these off for a minute. I can't see. Thank you for all of the comments, David, and thanks for watching. Yeah, that was quite ranty, but I kind of let it out because you know what, it's really been a long time, and I have like a lot of energy. I have a lot of excited energy for all the cool things that are happening, and I also have like just feeling like maybe I haven't kind of been honest enough. Maybe I've been trying to kind of toe the line or walk the line a little bit. And it's really just time to step up and be, just to be as honest as possible. And, and I never want to be harder on people than I need to be, but I also believe in being honest and letting people know, Yeah, the weight of the world is on your shoulders. If you understand, and you're a Bernie crowd, or you're a person that was inspired by Bernie, and you're in that party, you understand deep down, and on every level, what it means that we live in an oligarchy. And when you live in an oligarchy, you can't just, the level of seriousness and action, and they just should be calling all of those people out. The media, if it's a thing of not wanting to get attacked by the media, man, there is no, okay, well, that's enough on that. I'll let you guys go now, and go and start continuing to craft here's my red beret that I'm knitting for Ryan Knight. It doesn't look like anything too fancy yet. It's just different shades of reddish burgundy. And then it's going to be that brioche pattern. So it's like, as I start to knit it, it'll be like a double fabric, and the red will pop out from it. Okay. Now I worked myself up and it feels awkward. But that's just because I'm used to not being totally honest. I am used to being a little bit kind of, oh, don't upset the apple cart too much. Don't let it out. You don't want people, everybody knows me super well. They know I'm not trying to be too hard on people. I'm not throwing people away. I'm not throwing people overboard. I am saying it's time to change the strategy, and it's time to put enough pressure on them to urge them to change the strategy, because we have no other choice except to do our own work and to be the leaders that we need. We can't keep looking to other people to provide the leadership. We have to provide it. So take care, everybody.